Perfect. And
All right.
let's double check YouTube here. Videos. YouTube. Pop Culture Cosmos. Live. Hey, check.
Check, check. Check, check.
All right, cool, man. We're good to go when you are.
All right, we'll give it a 5 countdown.
Okay.
On this week's episode, Halloween kills it at the box office. Turtle Rock Studios is back for blood, and we reminisce on the life of Fao Schwartz. All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you could like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, Lakers Fast Break, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source, all the tremendous radio stations worldwide that carry our programs, and of course, everyone out there that can go ahead and do anything that they can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, including the fact that we're the #1 tabletop RPG streamer on Facebook. It is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He is our own Fao Schwartz for Pop Culture Cosmos. You got to go ahead and check out what he's doing today at popculturecosmos.com. Also, his tremendous shows as part of the Humanican Media umbrella, including Topicocalypse and the Super BS Gamescast. Of course, he's a prolific writer with many stories, including Congratulations, You Suck, which you can buy today at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
So I want to start things off here by asking you a math problem.
Okay, absolutely. We're on the downhill slide already.
It's a pretty simple one here. What is 6 minus 2?
Last time I checked, it equates to my IQ. I think it's a 4.
Do you know what else 4 equates to?
Uh-oh. Yes, I would probably say anything that has extended as far as the movie realm beyond a trilogy.
True, but also the point deficit between the Kings and the Knights on a Thursday night.
Yeah,
it was a 6-2 game.
Yeah. You've been waiting for that one.
The boys in gold didn't show up to play, but the Kings certainly did.
So much for the highly successful and favored Golden Knights for one day. But we'll see. I'm kind of still shaky on the fence on what they're going to do, even though they're prognosticated for a successful season. Not sure how well it will go for them. I kind of have concerns myself, but we'll wait and see. I know the Kings have been that team that they won the championships during the last decade. Then they went to a youth movement and went really bad. So they are bringing their way back up. And I think they're on the up this year, my friend.
I hope so. I mean, I heard, from what I understand, Quick is kind of, they're trying to, it seems to me like they're trying to phase Quick out. They started their newer goalie. The Kings have this tendency to like trade players, like their veteran players that have like been really good for them in exchange for, like you said, the younger talent. And, it hasn't worked out so well for them, but, seeing they still have Doughty and Kopitar and Dustin Brown to kind of lead them, and they were part of the championship team. So, I'm hoping things are looking up this season. But it was weird because this is the first time this season that I've like actually took the time to sit down and watch hockey in like 3 years. And I tell you, man, I don't even recognize most of the people on that team.
Well, then what happened the next night against the Minnesota Wild?
They
Lost.
not win?
No.
What was that?
Sorry.
Hold on.
They lost 3-2, my friend.
Hold on. Oh,
Sucks
you're
to be
right. They
them.
did. Yeah, I didn't get to. It was my dad's birthday last night, so I was actually just watching the replay on ESPN Plus. But at least we can both agree that either way, we want the Ducks to lose. So there's that. But yeah,
There's that.
hockey's looking good so far this season. It's nice having ESPN Plus because I actually get to watch like all these games. It's weird because I moved to Texas and I totally expected myself to become a Dallas Stars fan, even though I'm still going to be a Kings fan at heart. But I can't even watch Dallas Stars games because on ESPN Plus in my area they're all blacked out because they want me to like subscribe to local cable to watch them. So haven't watched a single Stars game, but I've seen a Jets game, watched the Kraken game, the Golden Knights, Kings, and the Flyers had a pretty nice comeback, and our friend Charles Smith is a huge fan of the Flyers, but then they kind of blew that lead to Vancouver. So anyways.
Well, I had this discussion the other day, and I went on a soapbox in regards to blackouts for sports, and I think that's just something that has to be gotten away with. Just get rid of it all entirely, because it's just something that it was born out of the broadcast television back in the days where they were really concerned with selling out arenas and stadiums locally. And I think that now in the days of modern era of television and streaming and league passes and all that type of stuff, I think it's a day that's gone by as far as the necessity of having blackouts in place.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think it's a bad practice, and you have people who not just moving, but people who go on vacation and they can't watch the games that they want to see from their favorite teams. And if anything, I think that kind of makes the broadcast companies look like villains,
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. But we do have a great show in store for everyone out there. Can't wait to tell you about all the great stuff on pop culture. DC FanDome was this weekend. As we prep for you on Friday's show, we're going to be able to go ahead and give you a recap of some of the major news and events that happened, including a taste of the Batman. I am vengeance. We're going to go ahead and talk about the Batman, plus so much more of DC FanDome coming up later in the program. Plus also as well, we're going to be talking about the Hollywood breathing a sigh of relief as they came to a deal with the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, aka the IATSE. Why is that so important? We'll talk about that coming up here on the show as well. Plus, we're going to be talking about Back for Blood. That's now available. Have I warmed up to it? We'll talk about that coming up. We'll also have a report on the future of Spider-Man after comments made by Tom Holland about what happens after No Way Home. We'll also talk about what people will be talking about starting this evening as we record this, and that is Succession Season 3. All the dirty words are flying on that show, so we'll talk about why people are so obsessed with Succession coming up here on the show as well. But first, my friend, it is the box office, and I want to give a big kudos to those horror fans out there, because for the first time really in a long time, outside of maybe you could say outside of you can really say The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, even though I don't think that got quite the opening I think that it really thought it was going to get. It's the first time since the pandemic really started that you got a big opening for a horror movie. So I want to hear your thoughts on this, my friend. This is something that goes back to when we were talking about over the years, how if you've just had a good concept, doesn't mean you had to have a great movie, but you could make a horror movie for below $20 million. You could put it out there with the minimal marketing account, and you could still make a nice, tidy profit off of it. The pandemic happened, and everybody stayed away in droves once the theaters were back open, especially horror fans. And it only seemed like the event movies and the superhero movies were getting all the action and the love. So I want to hear your thoughts on how it's a good sign that Halloween Kills actually did kill it. at the box office?
I mean, I don't know. What am I trying to say right now? Okay,
I don't
I'm
know, man.
stepping on my words, and what I'm trying to say is I don't I don't really have any interest in revisiting the Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween films, but obviously there are people out there who do. And even people who aren't fans of the series go to see this because it is a horror movie. And this is what I've told you before. Horror movies have the unique advantage of being able to not even, like you said, not even have a great story, but just have a unique concept that promises scares. And because of that, I don't think horror movies have suffered the way that other films have suffered under the pandemic. Maybe box office number wise, but the fact that look at The Conjuring, that I'm sure a grip load of people probably watch that on HBO Max, right?
But there, yeah, and the only thing is, I wanted to say is that this movie made $50 million domestically this weekend, while it's still being shown day and date on Peacock, which not a lot of people seem to know because it seems to be getting really supported at the box office.
Yeah, you know what I did notice this weekend is that so we went down a few towns over for my dad's birthday, and driving back, we drove by like 3 movie theaters just off the side of the freeway, and all of them, every single one of those theaters was packed. The parking lots were just packed, and that's something that we talked about this in prior weeks, that we didn't think that this would happen for a long time, but people are coming out of their houses to go to the movies again. And you look at what's in theaters right now, that's still big, right? You got Venom, Addams Family 2, you got James Bond, and now Halloween. So I think people are wanting to go back to the movies, and especially if you go to like AMC or Cinemark and they have these movie watching programs, right, where they're trying to get people to come back. So like, hey, if you pay this amount of money, you can watch one free movie per day. And that's something I think that has worked to their advantage, because like I know a lot of people that I work with and friends I have that do own these tickets, and they're going, it's kind of like the AMC movie pass or whatever it was that happened before the pandemic, but people are paying for these and they're going to see many movies per month. And whether or not Halloween falls under that criteria, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you that horror movies are things that people will always want to see. I think the real test here is.
Well, I want to say that Conjuring is the only other one really to do any kind of business. Remember, Old. You remember, there's been several that have come out this year that have done mediocre to really kind of poor.
Yeah, I think Old is an exception because it's psychological. I think the psychological ones aren't as interesting to people as like the ghost.
Don't Breathe 2 didn't do well.
I think
that was a big hit the first time around.
The ghost stories and the slasher flicks, I think those are the ones that will always be drawing people in. But
okay.
Point being here, I think the real test of this new box office reopening as it is, I think is going to be the romantic comedy.
I'm going to tell you the real test as well will also be the Oscar worthies, or the ones that get the Oscar bugs, because the critically acclaimed Oscar buzz worthy movies, like for instance by one of our favorite directors and one of your favorite directors, Ridley Scott, like The Last Duel that we kidded about on the previous episode, but you and I have kidded about in the past in regards to the accents and all that. Ridley Scott, Adam Driver, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Unfortunately, it bombed at the box office this weekend with less than $5 million. So,
well,
I mean, it got decent reviews. It's something that a lot of people were looking at. But yeah, I think these critically acclaimed movies that try to make a buck and here and there they're just not real. They're the ones. The audience for those type of movies, I think, are the last to come back in this pandemic.
Okay, let's talk about this for a minute, because I like where you're going with this. Historically, the movies that are nominated for the awards are the movies that nobody has ever heard of before. Like Shape of Water was the only movie for the past like 10 years that I actually saw a trailer for somewhere. The rest of it was like, I don't even know what any of this stuff is, besides like the things that got nominated for scores and things like that. But it's a lot of that stuff people don't even know it exists until people start talking about it. So even if it does come out and nobody goes to watch it, those are a lot of those movies they don't do well in the box office, but they do good numbers on like VOD because now all of a sudden people are curious about what these movies are that everybody loves so much. So I don't know if that's like a fair test of the box office return, but I'm curious if those movies now are even going to hit the big screen because these movie theaters, if you look, they're not, at least not the ones near me, they're not playing these smaller movies. Like they have, say they have like 12 screens to show things, and they have the big films on multiple screens. So I don't know, man. It's that will be interesting, but like I said, I think the romantic comedy is going to be the true test of the box office returns.
Well, it certainly hasn't been the musicals because all the musicals to this point that have hit the box office have come with a big and amazing thud along with it. I mean, I think the real test for any musical will be Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. I mean, if Steven Spielberg can't get a nice opening right now in this day and age on a musical, then I think all the musicals just say, you know what, we're just going to go straight, like you said, to VOD and go to streaming services and whatnot. So,
do you know what Steven Spielberg needs to do? Is he needs to rewrite Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Great movie, by the way. And rewrite it as a musical.
okay.
It'd
Do.
just be
All right.
magical. It would be pure magic.
It'd be pure magic indeed. But I also want to go ahead and mention that No Time to Die is doing very well. It was second domestically here with about 24 million that it took in. But the bigger key on that one is that it's doing extremely well worldwide, and it hasn't even hit China yet until next week. It's actually closing in on $450 million worldwide. So there is still love for the Bond franchise. So good going right there for you. Venom is taking in another 16 million this weekend, and it's closing in on 300 million worldwide. So also a good chunk of change for Sony right there for you. So there are some signs that the box office is healing, but there's still other signs that the box office in certain groups of people that like certain types of movies are still not going to the box office. So that has to be a concern, where there's only so many movies that are feasting off of right now the audiences, and that it's not distributed as well as it once was. So we'll keep track of it for you as far as how these movies do out in the box office. But what are your thoughts on what's going on with No Time to Die, Venom Let There Be Carnage, The Last Duel, and of course the big winner here domestically, Halloween Kills, with some of the most amazingly, how should I say, that's still that scene, my friend, when Michael Myers comes out with the sickle, those firemen, I mean, they were just waiting to get killed. That just blows my mind, man. Just blows my mind. But
Well, I mean, if
need
they
I
just
digress.
sprayed him with the hose, like from what I understand, even like a 300-pound man can't
I'm
get up
sorry, man.
after being
I see a
sprayed with
guy
that.
coming out there of a burning building with a hockey mask on. I'm running. I'm running. That's all I'm going to say. But and even Halloween Kills. So, what are your thoughts out there on this weekend at the box office? Please share us your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. I wanted to go ahead before the break and say that Hollywood is breathing a sigh of relief, and are very thankful tonight that the strike that was impending, I think was going to be Monday, was the deadline for the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, that they wanted better wages. They wanted better, obviously a better cost of living increase and things of that nature. They want a better, more, they want more breaks. They wanted to be able to go ahead and basically quality of life things that should have already been in place, because they've been complaining about for years as a collective about how they've been treated out in the workplace as a group. So that union went ahead, was about ready to go on strike, and that would have meant a lot of people behind the scenes that help make your television shows and your movies out there. That would have been a problem, because would have shut Hollywood down essentially, and the movie industry and television industry down to an extent. So a crisis was averted. A lot more things that were given to the union will help them. All those great employees out that work so hard and do so many great things for our entertainment. So I'm glad to see the crisis was averted, my friend, because it would be the dominant story on this week, no matter what DC FanDome or what everything else that went on this week. It would have been the IATSE strike that we would have been talking about, and the impact it would have on our entertainment.
Yeah, do you remember the last time that happened? I don't remember the exact year, but it was
The writer strike,
the writer's
I think.
strike happened. Yeah, and we had it took it like almost an entire half a year to get that settled because I remember a lot of the show seasons had been cut in half. Like shows that ran for usually 18 to 21 episodes was cut down to like 8 to 12.
Yeah, there was one around 2007, 2008 that was really nasty.
Yeah.
That one that lasted 4 months, and that one was really nasty. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean I'm glad that they came to an agreement. I'm curious how many shows are like still being like written on the spot and then filmed week to week, as opposed to things that are just like backed up and were supposed to be released a long time ago, but because of COVID. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad this thing got worked out because that is definitely people need TV. Especially if you look at the world right now, people need to be entertained. People need their escape, and I'm glad that they're going to continue getting it.
We need our Squid Game,
Uh,
please.
can I say one final thought on movies here?
Okay, not on
I
Squid Game though.
today just watched Fast 9 and it is just awful. Everything about it is awful. It is not good. Like it's you that part where they get launched into space, like it looks like it was something that was made in like a 10th grade film class. And I don't know how much like story they can continue to pull out of that. Like, oh hey, John Cena. In one I'm sorry, they messed up the mythology from the first one by saying, remember they said he died, the dad died in the Charger, and then but in this movie he dies in a race car. Anyways, if you go to the end of the movie, you take a look at Vin Diesel's shoes as he's standing on that racetrack with his son. The lift on his shoes, like the sole of his shoes, it's like 5 inches. Like he's wearing platform shoes. Have you ever noticed? Like I don't know if you've noticed it,
No,
but
I
next time,
haven't.
if you ever watch it again, like freeze it on that last episode. As he's not episode, last scene is holding hands with his son, looking out on the racetrack. He's got this massive lift on his shoes. Like it looks like they're designed to make him look taller. It
Well, now
works,
that
but
you have told me, I can't unsee it now, and I will be looking for it the next time
do
I
it.
check it out. But yes, it is Fast Nine. It's done well. It's one of the big hits of the pandemic era. So there's going to be putting what Fast 10 and Fast 11, back to back years, so because that's basing it out because it's going to be the end of that series. Supposedly, I'm still not convinced of that. I just think the Fast and Furious series will go on in some form or fashion. But yes, Fast 9. If you have thoughts on that, you agree with Josh. I can't say that I don't disagree with Josh. I think it was kind of for me. But again, if you have thoughts on Fast 9 or anything else going on in the movies, we want to hear your thoughts. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, there's still much more to talk about, my friend, on this front side of the Pop Culture Cosmos. Want to go ahead before we hit the half hour break and talk about three things real quick. Back for Blood came out this past week, got pretty good ratings. It is the spiritual successor for Left 4 Dead 2 by the same folks who made Left 4 Dead 2 when they were working with Valve, and that is Turtle Rock Studios. I know I told you I had issues with it in regards to the card system that you can do as far as customize your character options, weapons, health boosts, team boosts, things of that nature, because I thought it just took away from the game. I think a lot of people are saying that they're liking it, and that's one of the most popular things about this game. I thought the game itself during the test run didn't have enough action to be so frantic and right in your face. It looks like they've alleviated some of that, and it is more frantic and is more just the chaos, which I was hoping I could find in the Left 4 Dead 2, which I just enjoyed so much about it. I would find it Back for Blood. It's a little bit more of that. But my friend, it is Back for Blood. I know you're not a huge Left 4 Dead fan, but it seems like it could be one of the better co-op games around.
Yeah, so I saw that at Walmart yesterday, and I was contemplating buying it. I was also contemplating Far Cry, but I don't know. I just like I remember having friends really into that style game, but to me, I don't know. I don't play games with enough people to really justify buying a game just for that co-op experience, which I have heard is really good.
Well, it looks like it's something that a lot of people are interested in. It's gotten solid reviews, like I said. The only thing is, you got to go ahead and just the card system is a thing that, to me, again, for me, with a game like that, it's all about pace. And if you don't keep that frantic pace, it just you're just like, it's like a switch. You got to turn off and turn on and turn off, so you can go ahead and deal with the cards here while in between levels and see what you want cards you can use, so that will help your powers, that will help your abilities, that will help your whole team as a whole. And I get that, and I'm just thankful that I mean, there's a lot of people out there that really like that, because they'll be able to go ahead and customize it for their team depending on the level or what's coming up as far as the type of environment that they're going to face. For me, sometimes I just like to, like you said with Fast 9, just like to shut off your brain and just go ahead and shoot zombies and kill zombies. And sometimes with a
Yeah.
game like that, it's just the less done, the better. But I'm still going to give Back for Blood a try, because of the fact that it does look a lot better than what I even what I even saw in the beta. So, man, I think I'm going to give it a try. I'm just saying, with me, it's just that it's all about the pace on a game like that.
Right, and usually zombie games have a pretty fast pace to them. There's not
Yeah,
really a lot of.
but when you're going and you have to go into a screen off, when you finish a level, you have to go into a screen. You go ahead, whatever cards you collected and utilize ability.
Yeah.
And you take a couple minutes to. It just seems like it takes you out of the environment a
Y-
little bit too
No,
much.
I got you. I don't like card games. I've never been a big fan of them. Like Kingdom Hearts. What was it? Something, whatever, the 25 252 over whatever. The one that came right after Kingdom Hearts 1. That was a mixture of like an action game and a card game. And you had to like choose the cards to make the moves as you're running through these levels. I don't like that.
358 over 2.
358 over 2. I don't like that. It does slow the game down significantly. If you want a card game, play a card game. Like, there's a lot of good card games out there. There's Hearthstone. There's Gwent, I think, is one by in the
Yeah,
Witcher universe.
that's been a
Like,
good one since The Witcher.
yeah, if you like those games, and play those games. There's no need to throw it into an action game, because, like you said, it's going to pull people out of it. I know they have that with some of the mobile Final Fantasy games, have the card feature on them too, and it's just not fun.
But again,
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a shot eventually and see what I can do to enjoy it, because again, it will hopefully scratch that itch for me in regards to Left 4 Dead. And I still want a Left 4 Dead 3 personally, but that's another story for another day and another rant for another day. But
It's like
it is Back for Blood.
it's like Half-Life 3. Like, those
Yeah,
games are so like beloved.
Valve just can't get to 3. They just can't get to 3.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder if they have like a first, a second, and it goes immediately to a fourth floor, because they just can't get to 3. But need I digress. What are your thoughts up there on Back for Blood? Please share us your thoughts. If you spent any time with this zombie killing game and the co-op, do you like the card variation that helps customize your character and gives you a whole bunch of benefits and things for yourself and for your team? Let us know your thoughts on Back for Blood, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, before you hit the break, 2 last items I want to hit you up with. And one is the future of Spider-Man after No Way Home, because recently during interviews, Tom Holland indicated that the future of Spider-Man will be much different after the effects, and the Spider-Man as you know it will no longer exist after No Way Home. I think that it was said in a way that was kind of how should I say, Tom Holland is not always the greatest on interviews as far as dropping all this stuff, because when he does, he either says too much or he says stuff that puts the internet in a panic. And I think that there are going to be changes after No Way Home, but getting rid of the Spider-Man character entirely, I don't think is one of them. And I certainly don't think it's one of them, because Sony has obviously made too much money and leaving too much money left on the table. And of course, the future of a possible Marvel and Avengers and his involvement as well.
I absolutely don't think they're going to be removing Tom Holland's Spider-Man, because
I just think it was the way it was worded panicked a lot of people.
yeah, he did kind of. I think what he meant was that this is the end of this like happy, campy version of Spider-Man that we saw. They had his high school version, this like coming of age Peter. I think that's what he meant. Like, that chapter is coming to a close, because it's all been explored. And even like if you look at some of the themes in the No Way Home trailer, you have him dealing with like this concept of being Peter Parker, but also being Spider-Man. Like, he wants everybody. He doesn't want his aunt and MJ to not know that he's Spider-Man anymore. And Doctor Strange brings up a good question. He says, you are torn between two different identities, and you're going to eventually have to pick one. And I think that's when we're going to start moving forward. I think we're going to start hitting those more tragic aspects of Spider-Man. Because even if you look in the comic books, like, he had to choose between saving Mary Jane by having her completely forget him or losing everything that he loves. So he's notoriously had to make these choices throughout the course of the comic books, and this is why Spider-Man's such a tragic character. So I think moving forward, he's going to be dealing with those tragedies, and that's when we're going to start seeing probably Sony do like their more like darker take on Spider-Man. But going back to Venom, Let There Be Carnage, you saw in the after credit scene, right? They showed him, licking his lips, obviously entranced by Spider-Man. So I don't think Spider-Man's gone. I think we're just going to be getting a different toned Spider-Man from this point forward. And yeah, absolutely, there's going to be Spider-Man will be making an appearance in the next Avengers, because Marvel and Sony stand to make way too much money to not do something like that.
Yeah, the Tom Holland character has been such a great success for both Sony and Marvel. I don't see him, and he doesn't sound like he's tired of the actual character himself. So I don't see this version of Spider-Man going away anytime soon.
No, and you know what would be cool with all this multiverse stuff, if they gave this had this as an opportunity to, especially with these bringing together of these properties, like took this opportunity to finish off the stories of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Like, even if they did it in the crossover movie, that'd be fine, but just giving fans who have followed those worlds for so long just the satisfaction of seeing the story from its genesis all the way to its end. Like, while Tom Holland is still dancing in both universes, like, if they really want to if Sony really wants to dabble in the Spider-Man sandbox, they should go back and finish those stories as part of this whole new multiverse structure.
What are your thoughts out there on the future of Spider-Man? Could it really be the end of Spider-Man as we know it? Will we be seeing involvement of Tom Holland's Spider-Man into something different, or the difference as far as the movies will come out? It appears that the style or tone or whatever is involved right now in the three Spider-Mans that we've seen, or the two Spider-Mans that we've seen, and the one coming up in December, it looks like it's going to be something that in the future may be very different from what we know about our own Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Please share us your thoughts if you think this is a good direction for Marvel and Sony with this direction that is going to take place for Spider-Man. Let us know your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, before we hit the break, my friend, real quick, Succession Season 3 is here. And let the dirty words fly, because everybody loves that show. And obviously it's not meant for the kids. It's a very mature show, and about power, about backstabbing, about all that good stuff that happens in the corporate world. Not at the Pop Culture Cosmos corporate world, but mind you, but still happens out there in the corporate world. But it is something that a lot of people love to talk about when that show is on the air. I want to hear your thoughts, my friend, on Succession Season 3.
Yeah, just so everyone knows, that's not necessarily true about the Pop Culture Cosmos world. Gerald sends me text messages at least twice a week that says A2 Brutus, and I'm always like wondering when a knife's going to be driven into my spine. Just kidding.
I'm going to come to Texas for this. I'm going to bypass my son, the dentist, and just come over to just do that. There you go.
Yeah, I walk with my back against walls.
There you go. No, better watch out, man. Keep your eyes in the back of your head, man. I don't when you go to the parking lot.
Yeah, seriously, I just always looking over my shoulder. I've never actually watched.
I'm kidding. I'm not threatening him.
No, I didn't take it as a threat at all.
Okay, no, I just want to make sure the listeners didn't. He's threatening him.
Well, I mean, they can decide that on their own, but I'm just kidding. I've never actually watched Succession, so I don't really know anything about this. So why is it, you think, though, from a psychological standpoint, that people love shows about other people getting stabbed in the back? Not literally, but like metaphorically, like people do in the real world. Why is it people are so attracted to things like that? Why can't we watch a show that has a really good story, but everybody just gets along. Do you think that that could be something that could be made ever?
It's the car crash mentality, my friend. I mean, people love other people's misery. Simple as that. They love to watch other people's misery,
This is
and they
true.
love to watch uh,
It's like that.
hardships, misery, the whole nine yards. It's
Yeah.
seemingly that's the way we are as a society, and in this case, it's just about the intrigue and the backstabbing and the backdoor politics and all that. It just seems to be something that HBO has done really well, and a lot of people are really excited for it. And when Secession comes up, actually tonight, as we're talking about this, and season 3 hits, it's going to be the talk of social media out there.
Yeah, I'll have to watch this because now I'm intrigued, and I want to know more about this. But will I ever get a chance to sit down and watch it? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It sounds like a show that people would enjoy, especially like looking at how Game of Thrones was kind of full of similar themes with a little extra incest in there. But seems to be HBO's calling card are shows like that have that type of drama and people want to return to time and time again. So yeah, I'll have to give it a watch, man. We'll have to chat. We'll have to break it down a little bit.
Absolutely. Hopefully we can keep the dirty words aside, though. It's not good for a family-friendly show. So
Yeah, none of those dirty potty words.
exactly. What are your thoughts up there on Secession Season 3? We know you're going to check it out, so we want to hear your thoughts on all the juicy details behind Secession Season 3. Share us your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, coming up after the break, it's the back half of the show, and on that back half, we are devoting plenty of time to talk DC's FanDome because there was much discussed, there was much shown off, and I'm sure Josh and I have a lot of opinions coming up, and we'll be telling you a lot of what went on at DC's FanDome. Plus, we reminisce on the life of Fao Schwartz. It's still alive in New York, but it had a life in a lot of other places, and here in Las Vegas, I can tell you some memories about that as well. And we'll talk about Fao Schwartz and what we want to go ahead and categorize as things and toy places, toy stories, toy memories that we remember. We're going to go ahead and talk about Fao Schwartz coming up at the back end of the show. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back with the show. It's the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's Josh Peterson along with me, Gerald Glassford. How you doing? Hope all is well. Thank you so much, and big shout out to everyone out there that listens to our show, either on a podcast version or on the numerous radio stations that we have, over 50 wide around the world. We cannot thank you enough for listening, and also all your radio stations. We got much love for you for playing our shows. Please go ahead and check out for the latest news and information everywhere you can go. But there is one place to go. That's Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, where you will also see many of our RPG streams because we're the #1 tabletop RPG streamer on Facebook. Plus, I have great interviews and more in the video section. That's always there for you to watch right there at Pop Culture Cosmos. But my friend, the big news wasn't the Iatse Strike. Thank goodness. It was DC's FanDome. With a lot of stuff announced, DC pulled out some big guns, had a lot of stars and celebrities there to talk about their projects. It's so funny because, when we talk about Flashpoint and what went on there, did you see the Flashpoint? We're going to start with a Flashpoint trailer. I know obviously everybody wants to hear about Batman and whatnot, but did you see the Flashpoint behind the scenes, a little bit of snippet and what went on there? Did you get a chance to see that?
I looked for a video, but I couldn't find one. I just saw the photos of him and all the different flashes and him looking at Batman.
Ezra, well, okay, if you get a chance, check it out because it's on the Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page. It'll ramp you right to it. But is Ezra Miller, how he is teasing this, and he actually show you some footage, but not much because it's still in production. But they did show off some of it. It's just so funny because Ezra Miller just looked like he just was partying all night. And he just came out there and he looked like he was so thrilled. And I say that in quotes about being there to go ahead and introduce that to everyone out there.
Was he really?
He looked like he had, he'd just been up all night. Yeah.
Oh, did he look like he was excited though? I mean, or was it
He was
his?
not excited about doing it. He
Oh,
was reading the way his excitement and enthusiasm from reading from the teleprompt was, it just exuded. Yeah, it just exuded from there. And
yeah.
I'm being totally facetious when I say that, but it is the Flashpoint. It does, the snippets that they showed to us does look good. And they did show the back of whatever Batman that they were showcasing, whether it's Ben Affleck's or Michael Keaton's, but I'm assuming it was probably Michael Keaton's because he's probably going to get a little bit more screen time in this. But it would still, it tantalizes you on what could be with Flashpoint. Ezra Miller, though, it's just so funny because it's just like I said, as he's talking about this, yeah, he just did not look like he was having fun there. But it is a Flashpoint. I mean, one of the pictures that you saw. I mean, is this something that's really going to start interesting you as you find out more about it?
Yeah, I've been interested in this movie ever since they first started talking about it. Like I don't know if you've ever read the Flashpoint comic books. I really like that story. I mean, and it's a perfect chance for the DCU to kind of rewrite itself, and it's just the comic book is so tragic because you kind of get like I'm sure a lot of people wonder like what if I could have just like one more day with this person, or what if I could go back in time and save this person from me from their untimely end by preventing something they did. And that's a thought everybody has, but this kind of shows the consequences, and like this whole thing where Barry has to learn that just because he can do something, it doesn't mean that he should, because changing one thing has just drastic repercussions all across the DC timeline. This was also the New 52 was born out of the Flashpoint. Hold on one second. My dog is pulling my headphone cable.
Oh,
All right, we're good. But yeah, this is. I've been really interested in this from the start, and Ezra Miller. Yeah, I don't think he has fun playing a lot of the roles that he does. He's always kind of like wanting to stand out, and he's a weird dude, especially after his controversies and all that. But I think the Flash is a part that he does have a good time playing, which I think helps him kind of shine in that role a little bit more. What about you, though? Do you have? Hold on, let me lead in by asking this question. Do you think that they will use this opportunity to rebuild the DC universe? Because I'm looking at after watching the trailer for the Batman, like I would gladly watch Robert Pattinson replace Ben Affleck as Batman.
well, that's something I talked to Melinda about how this movie is got a lot of heavy lifting, and it's supposed to go ahead and reshape the DC timeline, whatever that may be, or multiverse, or whatever they're doing going forward, and it's supposed to help streamline it into something more consistent and something more, palatable that people can understand. I mean, they had that whole Justice League arc that they were trying to do, and of course, the failure of Justice League originally. Not talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League, but I'm talking about the original Justice League that came out. Its failure ultimately caused everything to just like break apart even more. And this movie is supposed to fix all that. I believe, from what I'm understanding, is supposed to fix all those inconsistencies in these DC timelines so that you can create a story where, hey, you've got all this stuff going on in different timelines and different universes, et cetera, but it will all coalesce in this, because of this movie. So it has a lot of heavy lifting supposedly, but
Yeah.
I'm curious for that fact. I'm really intrigued and really interested in the movie just for that specifics. Even though there's so much of the Justice League concept, I would have actually loved for them to continue with,
Well,
but ultimately may never see.
yeah, and that's something I did want to talk about, because I would absolutely hate to see them undo anything that might lead to another team up of Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot and Ezra Miller and I guess even Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. Like I loved seeing them team up with each other. Justice League, the Joss
I agree
Whedon.
with you, but it just the
Yeah.
ultimate the project that they were on didn't quite meet up to the expectations. But I love
Yeah.
still the concept of the Justice League coming
Oh,
together.
absolutely. Yeah. No, I hope from what we've read all this stuff though, there is going to be another Justice League movie at some point. They just don't
I
know
hope so.
when it's going to hit. I guess the big question here is like if as this Ezra Miller movie rekindles everything, like are we still going to have Henry Cavill as Superman, or are we going to have whoever's playing the new take on Superman? Are we going to have Robert Pattinson's Batman? Or are we going to have Ben Affleck's Batman, or even Michael Keaton's Batman? Like, what is that new Justice League going to look like? And also, do you think that they wish they could have like incorporated Christopher Reeve's version of Superman into this multiverse somehow? Or you think
I
they
would
will?
have. I would think so. I would definitely think so that they would have enjoyed that aspect, but unfortunately, that's
Because
extremely difficult to do now.
Well, because I know Brandon Roth played the continuation of Christopher Reeves as
Yeah.
Superman. So I don't know. I mean, a lot of possibilities here, but what I do enjoy about this concept is it makes everything you've watched up until this point not feel like a waste of time. I'm wondering if at some point we're going to get an incorporation of the Joel Schumacher and Tim Burton. No, we are getting the Tim Burton one with Michael Keaton, but
Yes, that's
I
correct.
guess the Joel Schumacher movies
You are
are.
not. You're not going to get George Clooney
No,
because he
no,
cannot
no.
stand.
But I mean,
He cannot stand his Batman.
yeah, but I know that the Schumacher films are a continuation of the original like Keaton version of Batman. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I like it because it feels like this movie. Watching the footage or whatever, like yeah, it does look absolutely amazing. But I also like love that it's making all the other things in the DC universe that hasn't been connected feel like it's worth watching.
Well, again, it does have a lot. It does have a lot of heavy lifting to do, and whether or not it's going to be able to do it, we'll see. But I hope, like you said, it doesn't make all the past 7, 10 years of watching DC movies worthless. That's what I'm worried about. Because right now with Marvel, okay, even in this new phase, I still don't feel like I wasted my time watching the original Iron Man or watching any part of the previous MCU. I still don't feel like I wasted my time because it's still they have callbacks and remembrances to those periods of time. Even in Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings, they called back to what was going on with the original Iron Man. They've gone back as far as in previous films to other parts of the MCU. So I feel that you always feel like you were rewarded for watching those previous movies.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that with the Flashpoint movie that it will correct everything that it needs to correct, but it won't punish you for what you saw before.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree, and I think that this is kind of a good chance for them to do that. But
Well, the Batman is something that I know a lot of people are talking about at length in regards to Robert Pattinson's new movie that's coming out next year. It's going to be coming out, I think, in March, if I'm not mistaken. And that is the Batman, of course. And it's just so funny because you wanted him to say, I'm Batman. Instead, he says I'm vengeance. So it's a period where it's early on in Batman's career. It's not a Batman origin story per se. It is an origin story for some of the other characters in there, like the Penguin, the Riddler, Catwoman. But it's an early stage period still for Robert Pattinson's Batman. What are your thoughts on the Batman, the trailer that came out? It looked pretty good. I was impressed by it. I think it's something that I'm still going to be able to check out. I'm a little bit more excited about it now than I was maybe a 2, 3 days ago. So I want to hear your thoughts on the Batman. If this is something that again will reinvigorate all those Batman fans.
yeah, I don't know. I wasn't too interested in it either until I saw this trailer, and this seems like a more palpable uh, version of Frank Miller's Batman stuff. I know that a lot of the Christopher Nolan trilogy was based on the workings of Frank Miller, but Batman in this one truly seems dark and angry, and this is a very doesn't seem like it's going to be a kid-friendly Batman. Like this is going to be something
No.
that's more adult oriented
And still very dark.
and still very dark, and that interests me. That I don't know. It's just I'm fascinated by this like emo version of Bruce Wayne, and I was actually kind of excited to see Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. Like that was not something I didn't even know she was playing that part. So that's cool. And I don't know. Just watching, I'm curious how Penguin ties into all this. Like seeing Colin Farrell in that role is pretty cool, and Riddler, and seeing what's his Andy Serkis playing Alfred. That was interesting too.
And also Falcone. Don't forget about Falcone as the leader of the mafia, and he's just it's going to be something that a lot of people are very curious to see as far as that's concerned in regards to the Batman because it seems like it's been the one that's gotten the most buzz. Obviously when you go through and you see Carmine Falcone, the Riddler, you see what's going on with the Penguin,
Yeah,
Catwoman, you see all these familiar characters with new actors playing the roles, and even Andy Serkis playing Alfred. So you get a glimpse of him in there. So you get to see all these different characters in this, new revisiting of the Batman story. And the thing is, though, we're not going to see an origin story from, which I think was a good move because I think we're tired as a collective of seeing the origin story of Batman
because
again
it gets
and again and
rebooted.
again.
Like it's the same
Yeah.
thing with like Spider-Man, right? Like it just everything gets rebooted so much, and I think that
Well, it
people
looks
are.
like this. Well, with the Batman, it looks like it's just like this, not the start of the reboot, but like you're in chapter 2 or 3.
Yeah, yeah. So this is, everyone knows the origins of Batman. There's no need to reiterate it. So I think that we're kind of like picking up further into Batman's career, and I think that is a good move. Granted, Batman Begins didn't really dwell on the death of his parents. That was just like the opening scene, and it was less than 3 minutes, so that was fine. But yeah, I just like I don't think we need to see that because anyone who's a fan of Batman already knows what happened to his parents.
What are your thoughts out there on the new Batman and Flashpoint? Share us your thoughts. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, there's still much more to talk about when it comes to DC FanDome, my friend. That happened this past weekend with Black Adam. Dwayne Johnson was very happy and excited to go ahead and showcase what was going on there, much more so than Ezra Miller was on the Flashpoint. I'll just say that. But he showed off some footage from Black Adam. I think that Black Adam is going to be something that might really get a lot of momentum behind it. I think a lot of people are going to be interested when it comes out. I think in July of next year, at least that's what it's scheduled now for being. I think this movie is going to do very well at the box office, not only because of Dwayne the Rock Johnson, but because I think it's just something that's newer, a little bit fresh take, and also will I think at the same time will give the Shazam, which Shazam 2 is also coming out. That was shown off a little bit as far as the context there during the DC FanDome. I think it will give a boost to Shazam because they're all related and connected, and eventually it's going to lead to a Shazam versus Black Adam type fight.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
yeah,
really, not in this specific movie per se, but eventually down the road, I
yeah.
really think that this will give, Black Adam will do well enough to the point where it's going to give Shazam a boost as well.
Yeah, yeah, and this is something The Rock's been talking about for a long time, and I know they finally like officially confirmed The Rock's role as Black Adam this time around, and I mean, just seeing that concept art, or not the concept art, but just seeing like the quick snippet teaser that they showed, like that was,
Yeah.
it looks cool. He does look cool, and this movie, with the incorporation of Doctor Fate and the Justice Society of America, like I am, I am excited for this movie. I hope though that it's not. I don't know. Like I hope it stays true to like the dark origins of this character and doesn't try to make it into something campy.
I agree. I hope it's something more realistic and grounded and based in something entertaining. But I have a feeling that it's going to be, I think they're going to let Shazam, because Shazam worked as a quirky kind of comedy type deal and with a
Yeah.
little bit of sensationalism. And I think that it will be on the more serious side of that, but it will still be a lot lighter with Black Adam and also Shazam than something that we're seeing from, let's say, like the Batman. I really think if you told me which one is going to be, a little bit more heavy, I would say probably it's going to be the Batman. But I think Dark Adam and Shazam, because of the fact that they will meet off and be on screen facing against each other at some point in time because they're natural rivals,
Yeah.
I really think that it's going to stay a little bit light, at least on that end.
Yeah, and I'm curious, like when they do finally meet up, like are they going to be fighting each other, or is it going to be like a Batman versus Superman thing where they eventually team up on something else? Same thing with like Spider-Man and Venom, right? And
Yeah.
because I think if nobody wants to see a good guy turn into a bad guy. Like I don't think
Yeah.
people are going to want to watch The Rock become the villain of a Shazam movie, or people who like Shazam see him become the villain of a Rock movie. I think that there's going to be a confrontation, but I don't think that they're going to like be opposites of each other.
Well, I think it's something that we're going to keep a close eye on because Black Adam, to me, I think has really got the chances to be a big hit for DC. And on top of that, it's going to feed into what we're going to be seeing with Shazam, Fury of the Gods. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with both these films. I was surprised at Shazam, the original one, underperforming at the box office, but they really have a lot of confidence in those characters, especially Zachary Levi as Shazam. So they're going to continue rolling on with it. And I'm actually kind of glad that they did because I found Shazam, the first one, really to be quite entertaining.
Oh yeah, I liked it too. I mean the the villain was really stale. You know, I thought that last like in the same way I saw Wonder Woman, you know, as that last fight being something that was kind of not too exciting, but I think because the characters were so entertaining that didn't really matter to me that much.
What are your thoughts out there on Shazam and Black Adam? Shazam, the next movie that's come out, Shazam 2, will be Shazam, The Fury of the Gods, and of course, Black Adam. That's coming out next year. Looking forward to seeing Dwayne Johnson putting on the tights and seeing what kind of damage he can do as Black Adam. What are your thoughts out there on both those movies? Share your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Couple last notes on the movie end, and one is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which is supposed to be a little bit of a darker, more mature tone. I'm not sure about that one, my friend. I think that should always stay kind of light because the first one made over $1 billion. And sometimes when you have something like that, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it.
I don't think it's going to be a darker a more mature. I don't think it's going to be a darker film than what the original Aquaman was. I think darker, they mean dark in terms of like thematic materials. I don't think like the actual tone of the character himself. Because I don't think Jason Momoa, especially in the role of Aquaman, has the ability to, you know, stay to brood. You know, I don't think that that's what we're going to be worried about. I think that what's it if you look at the photos, the stills from the movie, like it looks like it's more of like an adventure slash like creature feature. It's got like Swamp Thing or you know, it's got monster movie vibes to it for sure. If you see some of the little four-legged creatures that they come across and some of the creatures, just the creatures in general, a lot of monster-looking things in this. So I think that that's what they're talking about. There's not a lot of like I think there's less human interaction and there's more I guess some more adventure type stuff in it.
One last movie to talk about, and that was with Patty Jenkins, director of the previous two Wonder Woman films at DC FanDome, DC FanDome, confirming that there will be a Wonder Woman 3. And not only will Gal Gadot come back, but also Linda Carter, who had a little bit of a snippet
Oh,
of a
that's
scene at the
right.
very end
Yeah.
in the after credit scene. She will be coming the original. She'll be coming back the original Wonder Woman. So your thoughts on Wonder Woman 3? Yes, I know Wonder Woman 84 wasn't the greatest movie in the world. It did do well for HBO Max as far as bringing people initially into that streaming service. But I want to hear your thoughts on a Wonder Woman 3.
I don't really have a lot of thoughts. I'll watch it, but you know, I'm not after Wonder Woman 2, I kind of like didn't really feel like I wanted more of that character, I guess. So, definitely will watch it, but I don't know where my interest level is as far as that's concerned.
That's the one thing I want to say is when you have a movie that doesn't perform on a level that it should. In fact, my daughter and my wife, noted to me that they were so excited to see Wonder Woman 1984, and then now months later they can barely remember aspects of it.
Yeah.
It seems like it was kind of like a letdown in many ways from the original first film, which again, was so beloved. I know you didn't like it as much as a lot of people were saying at the time, and you said you liked it, but you didn't like it, enough to where people. I remember you got the blowback from that. It was so funny how that worked out. But
Yeah.
again, when it comes to Wonder Woman 3, it's a series that's been a success for the most part at the box office, or in this case, for the last one, HBO Max. So we'll see what happens there. But again, the movie slate for DC is pretty good. The thing is, can they tie it all together, and can Flashpoint be the thing that ties it all together? And will it eventually lead to another retry at the Justice League? That, I think, is the ultimate questions I have as DC FanDome ended.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I still want to see more with Henry Cavill. Batfleck I can do without, but there's definitely some stuff that is worth getting excited over. And then from what I
See, I'm
understand,
kind of like the opposite. I'm like, I would like to see more Batfleck, but I'm like with Henry Cavill.
I just think that much like Anakin Skywalker, what's his name,
Hayden
Hayden
Christensen.
Christensen. I think much like his role in Anakin Skywalker, I don't think he's been handed things that really let him. He wasn't handed a script that really let him shine. I think Cavill still has more to pull from that role.
Fair enough indeed. But the last two things I want to cover on are video game related, as we should always cover right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Want to hear your thoughts on this? I am not excited after seeing either of the two games, the footage that they have, Gotham Knights and also Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I saw them and I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's nice. That's interesting to a point. But after I don't know, I guess I'll say it, the failure of the Avengers video game that came out last year and all the problems that came with it. And the fact is, I just am not excited for Guardians of the Galaxy, which, is supposed to be, this big thing that Square Enix has brought out upon it that's supposed to be the standalone game. I'm not excited for that. And I think the Avengers killed I don't know, my energy for any of these superhero video games.
Yeah.
Outside of Spider-Man, of course. Spider-Man is done. That's really done well.
Yeah. Well, okay. So Avengers just popped up on Games Pass, so I actually downloaded that. I haven't played it yet, but I kind of want to be more a part of that conversation, like seeing oh, what failed with this game and what succeeded. So I'm gonna sit down and play that at some point over the next few weeks. But as far as the DC stuff goes, I think the what killed it for me was the pushback on everything, all not pushback, but the dates being moved, and just seeing I don't really have an interest in a Suicide Squad game. I don't know. I don't really like the characters are funny, I guess, but I don't know how interested I am in playing a game with them. The Gotham Knights one looked cool because I enjoyed the Rocksteady Batman series, and I guess I'm kind of hoping that this is kind of like that, but it does. I don't know. I just I feel like now knowing that Rocksteady's not doing those Batman games, I don't know how I feel about it.
You and I both, my friend. Again, to me, it's just something I need the fire back, and maybe one of these games will do it in regards to superhero video games. But after the Avengers, I kind of just I can, take it or leave it. But
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with the kind of success from both those games when they come out, and we'll report on here. We'll report it here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But we want to hear your thoughts overall on DC's FanDome. Did you enjoy the experience? Did you get a chance to check it out? Are you excited for all these projects that are coming in the future for DC? Please share us your thoughts. Peacemaker with John Cena coming out in January. That's a definite watch for me because I think he's going to kill it as Peacemaker in that series. So he was already good in Suicide Squad, so I'm looking forward to that. But I want to hear your thoughts out there on DC's FanDome. Please share us your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. My friend, it's been a great episode, but before we head on out, I was walking along the Caesars Forum shops today here in Las Vegas, and it just takes me back when I walk by the big, tall H&M store that's there, the three-story H&M store that is now there. That was once a FAO Schwartz with a big, huge, just a toy horse right there in front. It was just something to behold. And you would go there and you take the kids. I remember taking the kids when they were very little. They have no memories of it, but just wave after wave, floor after floor of toys and games, and just a lot of fun when you went there just to look and see. And it's the kind of experience as a kid you would just not forget for the rest of your life. And just to see it go away. And I know we would talk about on your series of stores and experiences from the toy realm that are no longer available or not available in a large volume. FAO Schwartz now is mainly just the base store that's in Manhattan after they closed several stores, and because they were based in a lot of places, but unfortunately, times have dictated the finances of the world as is they had them close the stores, some time back. But just the memories I have of that. I want to hear your thoughts on a store like that, just that huge concept of a toy store being that big, that large, that vast. I mean, will that ever happen again?
I hope so. I mean, you see a lot of these like secondhand stores popping up that sell toys, but it's a lot of things that have been scalped from Walmarts and Targets and um or even online. Like you go on to, I'll tell you what, like you ever want to see some like a real hive of villain and scummery. What do they say in Star Wars? A real Maz Eisley's a real hive of
Villains, and
villains and
skullduggery.
skullduggery. Yeah, you go into offer up and put in action figures, and you'll find everyone that like scalp things from Target and Walmart and are selling them at like double the price. And that's a lot of the operations you see, though. Even like going into toy stores and malls that are unaffiliated with anything, they're just there. They're selling toys at prices that nobody can really afford unless you're, you know, have exuberant amounts of money. So that being said, I do miss these toy stores, man. Like FAO Schwartz, I never actually got to go in one, but I know that Target still, during Christmas, Target sells stuff from FAO Schwartz. Like you go in, at least the one out here does. Like they have stuff in the center aisles, and it's like games and things that they put together. And I know, actually, my wife did some tax work for the guy that did their graphic design. So small world, but yeah, I don't know, man. Like I would have loved to have that experience. Even going like I remember it in Home Alone the movie. When he walks into that 2-story toy store, and just that magic. There's something about going into a store that's designed specifically and only to sell toys. There's something magical about that I don't feel like kids will ever have the opportunity to experience ever again. Especially with the advent of online sales and scalping and secondhand sales, eBay and all that. I would absolutely love for like a legitimate toy store to pop up again. I know there's been talks of like Toys R Us and stuff reopening, but I would have loved to experience FAO Schwartz. Just a 3-story toy store. Like that's a place where kids can just get lost and like they're not lost to the toys, not physically lost, but like just like letting their imaginations run wild. Let them. There's no greater experience than I remember being a kid and walking into like KB Toys. My grandma would hand me $15 and say, go pick out anything you want to that's $15 or under. And that was the greatest thing in the world for me, just having all of those toys to choose from. So I miss those days, man. I miss them, and I would have loved to experience FAO Schwartz. I want to make it down to New York at some point to visit this store. It's in Rockefeller, and I know there's one in Jamaica, New York as well.
Well, let's hope that you'll get that opportunity. And I will hopefully get that opportunity as well. But I have fond memories of the FAO Schwartz here in Las Vegas, which closed over a decade ago. And I'm still sad to this day. And every time I walk the Forum Shops and Caesars, I do have that memory come back. And I wish my kids now growing up could get a better understanding and a better appreciation for it, because they were so small when they got a chance to go ahead and check it out. So if you have memories of a favorite toy store gone by, please share us your thoughts as we go ahead on our weeks here at the Pop Culture Cosmos and reminisce on some of the great parts of toy stores and toy memories. We're going to go ahead and do that on the upcoming episodes. But please, if you have any thoughts on FAO Schwartz, please let us know. Or or toy stores and that matter, or any toy memories that you want to share, please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. I cannot thank you enough, as always, for joining me on this wonderful program. Stay tuned later this week as Melinda Barkhouse and I will cover the latest news and trends in pop culture once again on the PCC Multiverse. But any last thoughts on the way out?
None that I can think of. We just so you guys know, we're gonna be doing more toy store segments moving forward. We're gonna hit some of the big ones here soon, but yeah, it was just talking about memories, and eventually we're gonna be talking about like where's the best place to get toys in 2021. Coming up on 2022 here, so things have changed, but I do miss the old days.
And that is something important that we do discuss, that because people are going to have to look because of supply issues and
Mm-hmm.
because of what's going on. Black Friday supposedly has already started, so people need to go ahead and be aware. And here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, in the upcoming weeks, we will go ahead and dedicate an episode, or at least a segment on the episode, a segment of an episode, to exactly what are the best ways we found to go ahead and get the toys and gifts that you need to get for your family this holiday season. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great